From CNN London, hi, I'm Zain Verjee. This is World Report. Africa's biggest country could be about to split in two. On Sunday, voters are going to cast their polls in southern Sudan in a referendum which will decide between separation or unity. The vote could create the world's newest country. Southern Sudanese, like these women, are going to have the chance to vote, as will millions of others. The choice on the ballot paper is between a solitary hand or two clasped together. You're looking at pro-separation signs here displayed on vehicles all over Juba, which is the capital of southern Sudan. This referendum is part of a 2005 agreement that ended 2 decades of violence between Sudan's north and the oil-rich south. The question on the minds of so many observers is whether Sudan can break apart peacefully if separation's the choice. Joining me now to talk a little bit about Sunday's referendum is Ben WEDEMAN, who's standing by in Khartoum, that's in the north of the country, in the capital, and David McKenzie, who is in the southern Sudanese capital called Juba. David, let's start with you first. What's the mood like there? I mean, are people really excited about the possibility that it may happen, their new country?
Well, Zain, I think excitement would be an understatement. There's euphoria here, a sense of great excitement, but some nervousness here in Juba and across southern Sudan. You know, I'm at the John Garang's mausoleum. He was the leader of the SPLA, the Sudanese People Liberation Army, which fought a bush war against the northern forces for decades, as you said. He was their great hero, and today they are in the square, they are celebrating, they are getting out the vote, and they're urging people to turn out in numbers, in vast numbers, for this referendum. But really, this is not a vote in the normal sense. This is not a vote that there's really a choice between one or the other. There is a choice between unity and separation, but everyone I've spoken to here in southern Sudan, Zain, wants separation. They want that hand out like that, as you described. And so this is really, as they put it, a vote for freedom. Zain?
David McKenzie reporting there. Thank you so much, David. Let's bring in Ben WEDEMAN in Khartoum. Ben, good to talk to you. What's it like over there? What are people telling you? Do they want this separation too, or are they worried about this because it's the oil-rich South that's always been part of the issue?
Zain, well, listening to David, it's interesting just to see the contrast between the atmosphere down there, which is obviously quite jubilant. The atmosphere here in Khartoum is somber because, of course, they won't be voting in this election. It's only Southerners who are voting in this referendum, And therefore, there's a good deal of resignation here that this vote is going to go ahead. The chances of postponing it or just throwing it off the rails altogether, it's just not going to happen. The vote will go ahead day after tomorrow. There's an acceptance that international forces are just too strong in this case to reverse the process. And there are worries that this country coming apart, the North is going to lose access to the oil of the South, which makes up about 80% of the oil resources in Sudan. There's the worry that once the South breaks off, other parts of the country, like Darfur, like other provinces that are rebellious, may go their separate ways. And therefore, there is fear about the very future of this entity that is called the Sudan. And of course, there are fears that after the vote, and there's still quite a few steps to go before southern Sudan can become independent, that there could be violence. But today we heard former U.S. President Jimmy Carter, who is in the Sudan to observe these elections. He seemed to be downplaying those fears of violence.
But I don't think there's any doubt that the international community and the North and South leadership want to avoid any possibility of armed conflict. And that's a very encouraging thing to us. But no one can predict what will happen. The Carter Center has been involved here since 1989. And we've seen times of war and times of peace agreements and times of ceasefires and times of renewed conflict. But I think the last 6 years has been encouraging. And this step that we took in April with the elections and the referendum to be held parts of the comprehensive peace agreement. And we have every expectation that the remaining difficulties, even though quite serious, will be resolved peacefully.
And of course, what's left to be done is some sort of agreement on the sharing of the oil wealth, on the borders, on the future of those southern Sudanese who choose to remain in the northern Sudan. So all of these issues still have to be worked out. They're very thorny, very difficult. So really, the referendum is just one step along a very hard and difficult road for Sudan's future. Zain?
Could there be any other last-minute hitches here? I mean, a lot of diplomats are there working around the clock to make sure that there aren't. From what you can tell there from your sources, could there be any hitches?
Well, we can't rule that out altogether. There could be problems with voting, voter access to the referendum stations. But by and large, it seems that everything's in place. We've been in touch with the Commission for the Southern Sudanese Refugee Referendum, and they seem fairly confident that it's well organized. The vote itself is not a one-day thing. It's going to go for a week. So there's plenty of time to iron out problems if initially there are any. So really, the vote, as I said, is really just one step. It appears at this point, speaking to diplomats and observers, that things are going smoothly. They hope they'll go smoothly, but really that's just the beginning of this process, not the end. Zain?
CNN's Ben Wiedemann reporting from Khartoum in Sudan. Thanks a lot, Ben. Well, Sudan is the third largest oil-producing country in sub-Saharan Africa. It produces almost 500,000 barrels. That's just in a day. About 400,000 barrels of that is exported. Most of it actually goes to China. Southern Sudan holds about 80% of the country's oil reserves and production. But Sudan's oil pipelines and the refineries are actually in the north. For now, though, oil revenues are split between the north and the south, roughly evenly, 50-50. Both regions rely heavily on that money. Through October of 2010, the south got more than $2 billion in oil revenue. Here's some of the key events leading up to the vote. In 2005, government and southern rebels signed a peace deal, ending more than 20 years of civil war in Sudan. Former rebels from an autonomous government in the south. Then in 2008, the International Criminal Court in The Hague filed charges against President Omar al-Bashir for war crimes in Darfur. December 2009, the leaders of the north and south reached an agreement to hold a referendum on independence. April 2010, Mr. Bashir wins a new term in Sudan's presidential election. And then September 2010, Sudan's government in Khartoum says it's going to accept the results of the independence vote. November 2010, the voter registration begins.